I ranked 12 sportswear apparel categories in terms of how hard they are to manufacture, going from the most difficult, which is an S tier in this case, all the way to the most simple and the easiest, which is a D tier. So it's a little bit of an inverse. At the S tier, it's the super hard, very difficult. And then on the D tier, it's the easiest. It's the ones that aren't difficult at all. There's no complexity. We're going to be looking at three or a couple things. We're going to be looking at the sewing pattern complexity, how complex it is to create the sewing pattern, the fit sensitivity, how difficult it is to get the fit on point, the construction difficulty as well, how difficult it is to construct the product, finish it, the material requirements, and ultimately how easy it is to repeat those products consistently in bulk. Because if you can make one piece, awesome, but if you can't consistently replicate that quality across a wide range, then it's pointless. So without further ado, let's get right into it. My name is Shadi. I'm the co-founder and the creative director of Fittdesign. And over the last 10 years, we've literally manufactured thousands upon thousands of units of product in pretty much every single apparel category that you can think of in sportswear. So I know a thing or two about the types of products that can be quite difficult and challenging to produce and the products that are much simpler. So why might you want to watch this video? Well, if you're getting into sportswear as a startup brand, you might want to avoid some of these that are in the S tier category. You want to avoid them because they're going to be quite complex, they're going to cost you time, money, and effort, and at the same time, the payout or the payoff may not be worth it. So without further ado, let's get right into the episode. Number one is going to be performance leggings, which is a B tier, sort of in the middle. And leggings, they look simple on paper when you see them, but when you have a straight or a structured breakdown of a legging, you have the waistband, you have pretty much the right leg and the left leg, but leggings are extremely sensitive to fit. Where we see leggings really suffer is in the fit of the waistband and the fit around the crotch, and specifically on the inseam. You want to make sure that the waistband itself is a nice contoured waistband where it fits nicely on the hips, but it tapers in towards the waist, because sometimes if you have that block fit or that rectangular block fit on the waistband, it doesn't contour and shape the body. And for a lot of people, their bodies typically have wider hips than they have the waist. So that contoured waistband is going to be key. Making sure that the waistband doesn't roll. Making sure as well that you don't get any of the camel toe issues by having too little of a front rise on the legging or too much of a front rise where it leaves excess fabric to the point where it just looks very messy, very unkempt. And very important to make sure that we're picking the right finishing. Are we picking a plain seam? Are we picking a flat seam? Those are the different types of challenges that a legging will bring with it. If you look at a really high quality pair of leggings, on the surface it seems quite simple, but really it's a stack of positive decisions that create a phenomenal legging. That's why brands like Lululemon, Alo Yoga, to this day, even with a lot of competition, it's the sum of all of the right decisions that they're making that create that quality legging that can be quite difficult to replicate. So there's an opportunity in a legging to really stand out from the competition by getting the fundamentals perfect in terms of fit, fabric, function, stitching, quality, and all of those little details that for the average brand or even for some of the larger brands, they may overlook because they don't have a strong understanding of what makes a great legging. Number two is going to be the basic t-shirt. This is going to be a D tier. This is a standard single jersey t-shirt, right? It's your raglan sleeve or your set-in sleeve. These are very basic constructions. It's one that in terms of the pattern, you have your front torso, your back torso, your left sleeve, your right sleeve, or even if you have a raglan cut, which could be slightly more complex. So maybe we go up to a C tier or even a B tier with a raglan sleeve. Your regular t-shirt is going to use a regular fabric, whether it's cotton spandex, nylon spandex, polyester spandex. It's going to have around 5% spandex in this case, and the fit is going to range regardless if it's a compression or like a regular fit all the way to an oversized fit. It's quite simple in terms of how you grade the measurements. So it doesn't present manufacturers with a lot of challenges. There's really not a lot of complexity in the standard basic everyday t-shirt, which is why it gets its space. And number three is your high impact sports bra. And this is going to go at the S tier. This is by far one of the most difficult products to properly design but also manufacture, because with a high impact sports bra you need to cater towards a lot of things. Number one, you need to look at the different levels of compression that you want or fit. So you're going to want strap adjustability on the straps that go across the shoulders. You're going to need waist or under bust adjustability, and you're going to need custom cup molding, which means that from a material perspective, you're usually dealing with a outer shell material, you're dealing with a mesh, power mesh lining material, you're dealing with a waistband material, and sometimes you're also dealing with a custom molded cup that has to be made for every single cup size and every different actual measurement range. So there's a lot of complexity that goes into building a proper performing high impact sports bra, because the coverage matters, the fabric matters, the strap length matters. All those things really create a sports bra that, in order for it to land well on its feet, you need to knock those elements out of the park. And if you don't get those artifacts correct, then it's a bra that really no one is going to want to wear. Number 4 is a fleece hoodie, which is going to go into a C tier. So pretty standard product. You just need to make sure that you're picking the right fabric, getting the right construction, and you're picking the right seams, because with a hoodie, you need to make sure that you're using seams that allow the fabric to lay flat. Typically a cover seam is going to be key. Plain seams are also fine. It's just making sure that you pick a cover seam. If you're going for a higher quality hoodie, is going to be key. Making sure that you're attaching the cuffs to the sleeve and the waistband to the main body fabric correctly, using a lap seam to help everything neatly fold and look very, very well done. And picking the right weight of the main body fabric and picking the right fabric for the rib fabric. It's very difficult to make sure that you are dyeing the rib knit fabric for the wrist cuffs and the waistband according to the main body fabric, because typically what we tend to see is if you're using a cotton polyester blend for the main body fabric, you might end up using a cotton spandex blend for the rib cuffs. And cotton spandex takes color a little bit differently than something that has a synthetic in it, like the polyester that's in the main body fabric. So there, we typically have to do lab dips or strike offs before production to make sure that we're color matching the rib cuffs to the actual main body fabric correctly. Number 5 is going to be seamless leggings, which is going to be by far definitely an A tier. Seamless leggings not only require a specific person who knows how to design seamless, who understands the manufacturing process of seamless, you also need great access to a factory that does seamless, that has Santoni machines, that is able to do circular knitting. And seamless is very different than your traditional cut and sew in the sense of, to get some of the effects that you see Gymshark and a lot of these upper end brands performing, you need to understand how the machine works and how to properly translate that into a tech pack in order to get the machine, whether it's a scrunch effect, whether it's the the butt lift contouring effect, whether it's the waistband effect. All of those things require deep and intimate knowledge of how Santoni circular knitting machines work and knowing how to translate that into a tech pack, and then for a factory to be able to read those information correctly and execute it. So with seamless, there is a high setup cost in a sense of setting up the actual circular knitting machine and the program that goes into it, which means there's usually higher minimums. But when you do have all that set up, the unit cost is much lower, and the failure rate of a seamless garment is actually much lower than that of a cut and sew, just because there's far less human involvement in the mix. Number 6 is going to be a simple training tank, which is going to go down into a D tier. Simply a basic pattern, front torso, back torso, with the armhole cut out. You can pick what kind of finishing you're going to have on the armhole, whether it's a double needle stitch, a single needle stitch rolled hem, whether it's a bound edge. Pretty much not too much to do. The block fit is quite basic. You just need to make sure you have enough room on the armhole, that you're not cutting the shoulders too loose, or you're not cutting the shoulders too long, and that you're not making the neckline too open to the point where it starts bellowing. But from a fabric perspective, again, it's quite similar to your basic t-shirt, and that's why it earns its spot where it is. Number 7 is a technical running jacket, and although this is a hero piece for a lot of brands, it can get complicated quite quickly because of the different level of decision making you have. Typically with a technical running jacket, you're going to opt for a woven fabric, and woven fabrics are far less forgiving on fit than knitted fabrics simply because of how they stretch. With a woven fabric, you need to get the mobility correct, making sure that you have probably a gusset that's made out of some sort of stretch fabric on the underarm, especially for a running garment. You want to make sure that you also have all the technical details of a zipper pocket. You need to make sure that it fits correctly, it has that adjustability on the wrist cuffs, on the waist, so that when you're running, there's no excess fabric floating around. And if you have an outer shell, inner shell construction, then you have 2 levels of materials that you have to spec, and that means that the factory has 2 levels of materials that they have to buy and that they have to sew together, and it's just added work, more time, more effort, more cost, which is why it earns its spot where it is. Number 8 is a basic jogger, which is going to earn a C tier. And with most basic joggers, especially ones that are made out of jersey fabric, there are just a few places that you need to focus on. You need to focus on the rise, making sure that there's not too much fabric, not too little fabric. The cardinal sin is to get a jogger that is cut too short on the front rise. It can feel very uncomfortable, it can be too tight on the hips. You need to make sure that if you're going for an oversized fit, that the taper is correct, there's not too much taper, and if you're going for a tapered fit, that you're getting the measurement at the cuff, at the calf, and at the knee correctly to get that beautiful taper in there. You have to make sure pockets are correctly placed. And if you are working with a thicker fabric, making sure that you're specifying a thinner fabric that's color matched correctly onto the pocket, and that you are also specifying the right width and the height dimensions of a pocket. Typical pocket that I tend to see is around 9 inches on the depth and around 7 inches on the width. That is going to be ideal. And making sure you're picking the right fabric. So you want a fabric that has good recovery, because if it doesn't have good recovery, what you tend to notice is the knees area tend to bag out, they lose their stretch over time. So that's usually 100% cotton has that issue. And you want to make sure that you have a pattern that gives you a good amount of room on the hips, on the waist, and the thighs that you can move around comfortably in. Number 9 is going to be a performance sports bra, which is different than a high impact sports bra. This is going to be an A tier, and it's quite difficult to do as well, especially if it's a performance bra, because you need to make sure that you're getting the right fit, the right amount of coverage, and if you need to add strap adjustability, especially with a strappy sports bra, so you get the right performance, is going to be key. You need to typically add in elastic applications, sometimes into the straps themselves, sometimes into the underbust, and you need to pick the right fabric. You can't pick a fabric with too little spandex in it, because it's not going to give you the proper shape retention, and then too much spandex means that you have to cut the fabric pattern quite tight, which then puts it into compression territory zone, which means you have to go into custom molded cups, which then takes you back into the problems of the high impact sports bra. So with a performance bra, it's just a little bit easier to manufacture than a high performance or a high impact sports bra, but still difficult to get right. You want to make sure you pick the right fabric, the right fit, the right grading, especially with the different lengths, because performance sports bras typically tend to be quite short, so there isn't a lot of room to add too much length onto the garment, which means proportions can look a little bit weird if you don't get your right grading across. Number 10 is a simple woven training short, which is going to go here as a C tier, and simply because of the woven fabric. Again, I mentioned that woven fabrics are a lot less forgiving than their knitted counterparts, so the pattern needs a lot of, or enough ease around the waist, the thighs, and the leg opening in order to properly move around. It needs also the right amount of front rise, and you need to have the right pocket measurements, because if your pocket is too large, it's typically going to show through from the bottom of the fabric, and if the pocket is too small, it's not going to be functional. And you need to make sure you have the right waistband. Are you using an elasticated waistband, a jacquard waistband, or are you using a flat waistband? With a woven garment in a short like this, I wouldn't recommend you use a flat waistband that's made out of the same fabric as the main body, because woven fabrics typically have no stretch, which then means if you want that flat effect, either you have to go for jacquard, which means higher minimum order quantity on that product, or you end up having to go for elasticated with a scrunch, which means you're going to get that look. So what we typically like to do is, when we offer the flat waistband, we make it in a knitted fabric, which then means that you need to have that fabric quantity to purchase for the waistband to make sure that it also aligns with the main body fabric. And sometimes you have coloring issues in that case, which is why it earns its spot. Number 11 is going to be a compression top, which is going to put it at a B tier. It's much more complex than a regular basic training t-shirt, but it does sit somewhere between, regular activewear and very difficult technical products, because the fabric needs to have enough stretch in order to properly recover. So that means you're going to be going for something above 25% spandex, which means it's going to be a more dense fabric, which means it's going to be more expensive. The armhole, sleeve opening, the necklines, all of those things need to properly fit while still creating enough pressure around the body. And the grading is key, because you cannot grade the same way that you grade an oversized t-shirt. The measurements need to change in a much more controlled way, a much more intentional way, especially on the armhole and the cuff opening, to get the right fit, whether it's on a size small or on a size XL. Whereas with an oversized t-shirt with a size medium, if you get that fit and if it's not exactly the way the designer envisioned, it's going to be fine, because no one's going to be able to tell, since you are cutting the fabric wider than it needs to. But with a compression t-shirt, if it's too loose, it's going to be obvious. The last thing that we want to see is a compression t-shirt that has very tight on the arms, but it's too loose around the waist. That's not a compression t-shirt. That's not what the designer intended. Number 12 is going to be a waterproof technical shell jacket, and this is going to go at an S tier, similar to the running jacket, which could be sometimes lined or unlined. Is the hardest product on the list because of the fabric that you have to spec. Typically, it's going to be a very high quality woven fabric. You need to specify the composition, the denier. You need to specify the weight. You need to specify the weft and the warp. What are the thicknesses of the yarns? You need to specify what are the finishing on it. Are you going to have a moisture wicking finish, a moisture repellent finish? Are you going to have a moisture proof finish? All of these things add several layers of complexity to not only designing the product, but producing the product. And With all of this, the pattern construction development, whether it's a raglan sleeve or a set-in sleeve or a drop shoulder, needs to be done correctly in order to allow for movement, because if the fabric and the pattern construction isn't done correctly, then you're going to get something that doesn't construct well, because you cannot just take the same exact layer that you have for the outer shell and use it on the inner shell. That needs to be cut in a way that aligns with the seam allowances, and you need to make sure you're getting the right stitching. Are you using heat seal stitching? Are you using mock felt stitching? All of these things are why a waterproof technical jacket sits at the S tier. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, please consider smashing a massive thumbs up. And if you're looking to build one of these products and you want our guidance on how we can help you take the idea, get it properly executed without any of the problems that we outlined in the episode, you can check the link in the description to apply to work with us one-on-one, and within 5 minutes we will get back to you with a personalized production roadmap. A real human will get back to you, not AI. So guys, I say this from the very bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Fittdesign TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.